Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Purvajikacharya Ashtotar to the Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtotar to the Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. On this 11th day of March 2026 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, as it is translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are on chapter 18, conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. Text 60, page 700. But before we proceed, there's a cell phone sitting over there. Does that belong to a person in the room or somewhere else? That's yours. Okay, all right. Okay, text 60. So remember our new standard. We're going to do the first line, then we'll chant the first line. Svabhava Jena Kaunteya Swabhava Jena Kaunteya Nibbadha Swena Karmana Nibbadha Swena Karmana Kartum Nechasi Yanmohat Kartam Nechasi Yanmohat Karishyasi Avasho Pitat Karishyasya Avasho Pitat Swabhava Jena Kaunteya Nibbadha Svena Karmana Kartum Nechasi Yanmohat Karishyasya Avasho Pitat Swabhava Jena Kaunteya Nibbadha Svena Karmana Kartum Nechasi Yanmohat Karishyasya Avasho Pitat Swabhava Jena Kaunteya Nibbadha Svena Karmana Kartum Nechasi Yanmohat Karishyasya Avasho Pitat. Go ahead, Tapas. Swabhava Jena Kaunteya Nibbadha Svena Karmana Kartum Nechasi Yanmohat Karishyasya Avasho Pitat. Swabhava Jena Kaunteya Nibbadha Svena Karmana Kartum Nechasi Yanmohat Karishyasya Avasho Pitat. Go ahead. Swabhava Jena Kaunteya Nibbadha Svena Karmana Kartum Nechasi Yanmohat Karishyasya Avasho Pitat. Go ahead. Swabhava Jena Kaunteya Nibbadha Svena Karmana Kartum Nechasi Yanmohat Karishyasya Avasho Pitat. Is there anyone online? Two. Okay, anyone online want to chant?
Prem Gopal and Vanessa.
Okay, go ahead.
Swabhava Jena Kaunteya
Swabhava Jena Kaunteya
Nibbadha Svena Karmana
Nibbadha Svena Karmana
Kartum Nechasi Yanmohat
Kartum Nechasi Yanmohat
Karishyasya Avasho Pitat.
Karishyasya Avasho Pitat.
Swabhava Jena Kaunteya
Swabhava Jena Kaunteya
Nibbadha Svena Karmana
Nibbadha Svena Karmana
Kartum Nechasi Yanmohat
Kartum Nechasi Yanmohat
Karishyasya Avasho Pitat.
Karishyasya Avasho Pitat. Word by word. Swabhava Jena, born of your own nature. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Nibbadha, conditioned. Svena, by your own. Karmana, activities. Kartum, to do. Na, not. Ichasi, you like. Yet, that which. Mohat, by illusion. Karishyasi, you will do. Avashaha, involuntarily. Api, even. Tat, that. Translation. Krishna says to Arjuna, under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction. But, compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. Purport. If one refuses to act under the direction of the Supreme Lord, then he is compelled to act by the modes in which he is situated. Everyone is under the spell of a particular combination of the modes of nature, and is acting in that way. But anyone who voluntarily engages himself under the direction of the Supreme Lord becomes glorious. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chokshur unmilitam mena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So Bhava, Jaina Kaunteya. So we all have a certain intrinsic nature that has been determined for us by our previous karma and what modes of nature we were born into. I remember as a child there were several classes I took in grade school, I think mostly, trying to find out my aptitude. You know, whether I like to work with my hands, I could become a nice car mechanic, or I was a smarty pants and I could become a accountant or something, whatever. So that's proper. I mean, they didn't know what to do with that knowledge, but as Krishna says here, they're born of our own nature. In other words, we're kind of born with a certain amount of baggage that we bring from a previous life. What we did, the desires we developed, our conditioning. This is what conditioning is all about. So we have those attitudes, those aptitudes, and what Krishna consciousness teaches us is that, okay, so you have a certain kind of work that you like to do. This is what Varnashram is all about. The Varna part of the Varnashram means that there's Brahman, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, which means that there are a certain configuration of karma and modes of nature that induce one to be a Brahman. He'll take birth in the family of Brahmins so that he'll have parents who will raise him and such. His intelligence and so forth. So that's part of your karmic destiny. Similarly, for Kshatriyas, who are the fighting spirit, administrative, the Vaishyas who can make money or do farming, and the Shudras who like to work with their hands and basically serve the others. So each one has a certain aptitude. But the key is understanding that and being situated nicely in that is not the success, but if you can use that aptitude and use that work to connect with Krishna. Because what is impelling us to work? It is this aptitude, but then there's a certain desire that we want to, set of desires we want to achieve by doing that work. Okay, I have the intelligence and the skills to get a good job and go to college and get a nice job working with my brain. Right, but then you want the fruits, right? And get a nice salary. I mean, I read about these guys that go to MIT, they go to Harvard, but they're fixated on going to Wall Street and becoming quants. Do you know what a quant is? You know what a quant is. They're guys who know how to manipulate the different facts about the stocks and everything and make $1 million. $1 billion. Why $1 million? Only $1 million is nothing these days. So that's their skill is being used in that regard, and it's completely keeping them bound to this material world. The same intelligence, if engaged in studying the Shastras, in becoming learned and teaching others, that's what Brahmins do. They basically, the Brahmins in traditional Vedic society had two basic engagements. One was teaching, which they wouldn't get a salary, but the students would bring gifts and they would be, this way they would maintain. But simply, they lived austerely. And the other was to be an astrologer, to know Jyotir Veda, you see. There's a whole division of the Vedas that deal with that. And that's a good business. Everyone wants to know what's going to happen in the future. Am I going to make $1 million? Or, do I have to brace myself for poverty or whatever, And also Ayurveda. They became, doctors to be able to give good advice. So all based on the Veda, Jyotir Veda, Ayurveda, and of course just regular Veda to teach the Shastra. So that's the Brahmins that maintain themselves. Then that's a healthy society where that's a way of doing that, but connecting it ultimately with the ultimate goal of life, because otherwise it's all just for naught. Once you understand that you're eternal, and that you'll have a next life, you see, it doesn't make any sense just to focus on this life. How can I enjoy in this life? Because it's all going to be left behind. You'll come to the point of disease, old age, death, none of which are very, very, very pleasant, no matter how much you try. And then what? Well, then it's all over. No, it's not. You're creating your destiny by everything you do and say and think in this lifetime. That's the basic teaching of the Gita. And there's the lessons. Well, how can you, use your senses, your mind, your intelligence, all the things that you have will over, that you can direct it this way or that way, that you have a certain amount of free will, so that you'll have the best next life, which is, of course, going back home, back to Godhead, never, to take birth again. So Krishna's coming to that point, and under the illusion, he's telling Arjuna directly, he's declined to act according to my direction. What is that illusion? That illusion is the bodily concept of life. He's thinking of Bhishma as his grandfather. He's thinking of his relationship to Dronacharya, his beloved teacher, and so many other relatives and friends. It was all one big clan, the Kurus. The Pandavas are really part of the Kuru clan, So he sees that. There's one verse in the first chapter, I think it is, where he looks over because the whole thing, he goes between the two. He asks Krishna, he was very mercifully taken the role of a servant, the chariot driver. So he orders Krishna, or say, please, Krishna, take the chariot between the two armies. I want to see who's come here to fight, who I have to fight in this. So he goes, not in the midst of the two armies, but between the two armies. And he looks over there, and it describes, he sees on the other side all kinds of friends and relatives and people. It's one thing if you look on the other side and there's your eternal, your enemy from childhood and everything. But that wasn't the case. He saw blood relatives, marriage relatives, all kinds of. There's all this. So that was depressing. And then he knew that, of course, on his own side, there's all kinds of friends, and they're going to also get killed. So this is Arjuna. When he saw that, then he became discouraged. Then he sat down, dropped his bow, and he said, as Prabhupada translates, "O Govinda, I shall not fight." A famous line. But then, at the beginning of the next chapter 7, he has that critical transformation. And that's why the Bhagavad Gita is a book of instruction, spiritual instruction. He changes the relationship. Up until then, he was speaking to Krishna as his friend, and he was trying to prove to his friend why he shouldn't fight, he didn't want to fight, he couldn't fight like that. But then he really knew, Krishna is, God, so he can serve as my spiritual master. So he says, Karpan yadosho pahata swabhava, pritchami tvam dharma samuda cheta. Yakshayaksyan nishtitam bruhitan me, shishyasteham shadimam tvam papannam. Now that key word is there at the end, papannam. I surrender to you. Not as a friend, because friends can speak for days and months and they'll never get anywhere. But he need, it's an urgent situation. And so he's asking to get for certain. Karpan is from Kripana. He said this miserly weakness of, identifying with the body, he understood that. Has stolen away my real nature. Karpando apahata swabhava. This word swabhava is the first word in this verse, you see? Is born of his own nature. So Arjuna said that this illusion I'm in has robbed me of my real nature as a Kshatriya. The Kshatriya doesn't drop his bow and sit down on a chariot. He says, all right, let's go, But that wasn't the case, because he was on the bodily, he saw all these personal relationships. So, Karpanil apahata swabhava, pritchami tvam. I'm questioning you now, pritchami tvam dharma samudaya, because my mind is bewildered about what the real right thing is to do. In the Vedic culture, so essential, dharma is so essential. What is the right thing to do, and how can we do that? To be acting adharmically is abominable, really. So he said, now please tell me what my real dharma is. Prichamitan dharma samudacheta, because I'm bewildered about what my dharma is. So yakshayaksyan, please tell me how I can achieve my ultimate benefit. Yakshayaksyan nishtitam, for certain. Bruhitan me, please, O Lord, speak to me about that. And then the final line, so key. Shishyasteham. Now I'm not in the role of your friend, but I want you to be in the role of my guru, and I'll be in your role as Shishya. Now Prabhupada explains either here or in a lecture I heard that the word Shishya, each Sanskrit word is such a perfect language. They have a root that then is the root meaning, which is then extrapolated in the word. It can also be that root can also lead to other words. But the word shishya has as the root shas. Now that is also the root of the word shastra and the word shastra. Who can tell me, for extra credit, what is the difference between the meaning of the word shastra and the word shastra? Tapas, you probably knew this from childhood. Okay, you can answer this. Shastra. And what is shastra? A weapon. Now, what does a weapon have how do you get the shastra and shastra? What's the relationship? It controls you. Now, a shastra, a weapon, you don't agree to be controlled, but you may be controlled anyway. Give me your money. All right. Right? Boom, I'll shoot you. This is the shastra. Shastra, you have to agree to be controlled. You have to surrender. That's what the surrender is. Okay, So Arjuna is surrendering to Krishna, and that's why the word shishya has the same role. It's someone who agrees to be controlled by the words of the acharya, of the guru. You have faith that he's going to give me orders for my own benefit. He's not out to exploit me. He's not That takes faith. It means that you have to have faith. And so that's why it's important to learn about the acharya and to see, what his own behavior is. We have the Upadeshamrita is an essential book. It's in the very title of the book. Upadeshamrita means the nectar, the essence of instruction. 11 verses, very short. And the very first verse speaks about how to see who your guru is. Vacho vegam, manasak, krodha vegam, Vato vegam and akura jiva vegam udaropasta vegam. Etan vegam yovishaheta dira sarvam apimam pratavingsa shishyat. So vega is an urge, a pushing. We all have the pushing. We all know you get really hungry, the pushing of the hunger, okay? And we meet that. Nothing sinful about that. Of course, what you eat, you can make it, it's important. How you eat prasadam, we should have. So vacho vegam, the pushings or the urges of the word, actually the first is words, speaking, all kind of nonsense. The urge to speak. I remember when I first read that, I was thinking of my days in New York where I get on a bus. I used to travel in New York City sometimes, travel by bus, And there'd be so much jabber going on in that bus. People get on with their friends, and they just talk about so many things, And you can get on the internet. It's just a Tower of Babel, right? Isn't it? So much nonsense, going on. So that's the urge to speak, say something, right? Manasa, the urges of the mind. You become obsessed with something. What are we just reading in the morning? We're reading this account of Purunarva and Urvashi. His mind became completely obsessed with this woman, heavenly woman. It looks like anything, and it was like he couldn't give it up. Finally, at the end, he does give her up, and then he has a song that Krishna relates in the 11th canto. This is the 9th canto, so the 11th canto, and between is the 10th canto, which is really big. So I read that the other day on my turn in the morning because I said, well, that's like the essence of the whole thing is that you have to get the lesson from it. And if we wait till the end of the 10th canto, that'll be probably another year to go through the 10th canto. 90 chapters, Anyway, so we read it. So the mind is a tremendous pushing agent. And then you learn right at the beginning how you have to control the mind, right? So the mind. So you got the urges to speak. It's a very powerful. The urges of the mind, the urges of the tongue to eat all kinds of things. Mavacho veja manasa krodha vegam. Anger. Anger can overwhelm your intelligence, right? And you do something that you then regret for the rest of your life. You're sitting in a cell, you killed somebody who took your girlfriend. And was it worth it? Lifetime in prison. So krodha, a big pusher. Krodha vegam, jiva, the urge of the tongue, which is of course to speak, but mostly to eat, and jiva vegam. Udaro pasta vegam, the urges of the belly, fill the nice food, and of course the sex organs. So these 6 urges, when you see someone, you read someone who is able to control those, who is very much under control of those. Then, depending on some other criteria, what does he speak actually, and what are his activities? But those are preliminary. Then you say, oh, this person, is in the category of someone who I might surrender to. Let's see what his character is, So anyway, that's when you find someone who's generally representing God, who has the character and so forth, then you surrender, this whole surrender. It means that you agree, okay, whatever you say, I'll do. Now that's a big thing, because you have all these other, these modes of nature and these tendencies you have. Say, okay, I'm going to put those aside and act, as you say. And of course, the first instruction, chant Hare Krishna, right? That's the first thing. And oftentimes that's the only thing you'll obey at first. You have your own life to lead and this and that. But if you integrate the chanting into your life, and you try to follow the principles, study the books, basically associate, then hopefully, if you're fortunate, you'll become, attracted to the devotee association, and you'll want to be like the devotees. You'll see that, oh yeah, I can see these persons are joyful, they're peaceful, they have a mission, they're following this philosophy, which is so fascinating and everything. And so you want to do other things, to be a devotee. So that's the essence there. And here, in this verse, he's saying, now you're under illusion, you're declined to act according to my direction. You see? But you'll still be compelled by the work born of your own nature. In other words, you still have your natural born character that will impel you to act. But if you don't do it under my direction, then you'll be entangled. So you have to follow. I'm going to try to engage you in your nature as a fighter. Krishna says, "Fight," and Arjuna said, "No, I don't want to fight." So he knows that he's going against his own nature, but he has to do it under Krishna's instruction. And as we learned in the 11th chapter, this famous line, just be my agent. You know it? It's right after Krishna says, "Kalos mina, oh God, Kalos, who are you?" Krishna, remember Arjuna asks, "Who are you, my Lord?" He sees this, he's very frightened by this. It's not his Krishna that he's looking at. And then he has all these prayers, but I'm going to find this. I'm sorry. Kalos mi loka chayakrit pravido. Arjuna says, "Who are you? I want to know who you are, what your mission is." Time I am. This is a big verse. And 1132. The great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of you, the Pandavas. All the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Yeah, next verse. Tasma, therefore, get up. Tasma uttishta yesho labasva. Therefore, get up, prepare to fight, win glory, conquer your enemies, and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Sabyasachi, can be put in but an instrument in the fight. This famous nimitta matram baba Sabyasachin. Nimitta matram, just become my agent. See, just become my agent and act just like a hand. Act like my hand, according to my will. And then you'll be glorified. You'll be glorious. That's the idea. So that's the same theme is here. There's a lot of some repetition here. So he's saying here, your own nature is going to cause you to fight anyway. So why not fight according to my direction and be glorious? You see, under illusion, you now decline to act according to my direction, but are compelled by the work born of your nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. But if you do so outside of my order, then you'll be conditioned and you'll suffer. That's the idea. All right. Now this next verse probably quote all the time. Yes. Go ahead, Bhakta Jeff. Can I call you Bhakta Jeff?
Sure.
All right.
I haven't called worse. That's very nice. Thank you, actually. This one grammatically is weird because the sentences are totally different from the translation.
I don't understand. You're talking about 60?
Yeah, on 60. So under illusion, you are now declining to act. But then according to the translation, that's the second sentence.
Yeah, but the meaning is the same. Kartam it nachasi yan mohat. By your, under illusion, yan mohat, you are not itchasi, you do not want to act according to your nature. Well, that's done. I didn't, do this translation. I mean, Prabhupada gave the translation. He may have spoken differently, because he would often follow the order of the Sanskrit. But to bring out the whole meaning in English, oftentimes you have to move things around. Yeah, you'll find that happen.
Yeah, but I haven't seen it like that before, where it's totally reversed, like the first sentence, the second sentence, and the second sentence is the first sentence.
Well, I'll look at it again. Maybe we have to revise it. That happens. People suggest revisions all the time. But for now, let's go on to text 61. Ishwarak sarvabhutanam viddesher janatishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. Okay. The Supreme Lord translation. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna. Now this is interesting, just before we continue. You see how Krishna moves between the first and third person? Now he's speaking himself as if, Ishvara, who is that Ishvara? That's me. I'm in everyone, but he often does that. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Purport. Arjuna was not the supreme knower, and his decision to fight or not to fight was confined to his limited discretion. Lord Krishna instructed that the individual soul is not all in all. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, or he himself, Krishna, as the localized supersoul, sits in the heart, directing the living being. After changing bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds, but the Supersoul, as the knower of the past, present, and future, remains the witness of all his activities. Therefore, all the activities of living entities are directed by this Supersoul. The living entity gets what he deserves and is carried by the material body, which is created in the material energy. What happened? Oh, okay. Which is created in the material energy under the direction of the Supersoul. It may be created by the material energy. As soon as the living entity is placed in a particular type of body, he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. A person seated in a high-speed motor car goes faster than one seated in a slower car, though the living entities, the drivers, may be the same. Similarly, by the order of the Supreme Soul, material nature fashions a particular type of body to a particular type of living entity so that he may work according to his past desires. The living entity is not independent. One should not think himself independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual is always under the Lord's control. Therefore, one's duty is to surrender, and that is the injunction of the next verse. So Prabhupada would always quote this verse. Now it's similar, you may remember, text 15:15. That's always easy to remember, where Krishna says, see if you recognize it. Sarvasya chaham vriddhisannivishto mattaksmatir jnanam apohanangcha vedaischa sarva ahameva vejo vedanta krid veda vedeva chaham. Does that ring a bell? Okay. Maybe not. So what's he saying? Krishna, Sarvasya chaham vriddhisannivishto. That I am situated in the heart of every living being. Sarvasya chaham vriddhisannivishto. And from me, mattak, from me comes mattak smatir jnanam apohanamsha. Become remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness also. Apohanamsha. Then, very important, second half of the verse. Vedaishta sarvar ahameva vejo. I am the knower of all the Vedas. The sarva ahameva vejo. Vedanta krit. I'm the writer of the Vedanta. I mean, Veda Vyas wrote it, but he was getting all of the instructions to write from Krishna. He's Shakti Vaisha actually. Vedanta krid, Veda vid, eva chaham. I am the knower of the Vedas, and I am the compiler of Vedanta. So this is a similar verse. Ishvara, he's speaking in third person as he often does. Ishvara. Prabhupada even makes that point in the sentence, the second sentence, third sentence. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, or he himself, Krishna, as the localized Superlo, sits in it. So he's sitting in the heart of everyone, Hriddeshe, in the region of the heart. Now it's interesting because what about the ant? Well, somewhere there, a little heart, because it says in one place that it's the size of a thumb, the super soul. That's pretty big for an ant. No, it's proportionate to the size of the body. I don't know if ants have thumbs, but the whole point is that the supersoul is as big as small he has to be in order to fit inside that body and guide the soul. The moth is going here toward the light, because supersoul is telling him. He's not going to die. The supersoul is going to die. The more living entity is not going to die, but he'll go on to his next life after that. So all of that is coming from the supersoul. But when we do it voluntarily, when we find out what the supersoul really wants us to do, the original source of the supersoul, Krishna, then what we do is in tune with the Lord's desires, and everything, our life becomes auspicious. Otherwise, out of ignorance, we don't really know that, and we're just acting according to the impulses, those Vegas I mentioned, and we're conditioned souls. We want to get free of that conditioning. Okay, so Krishna's now coming, we're coming up, I think we'll reach it today, the 65 at least. Okay, so I read the purport to 61, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, 62. Tameva sharanam gaccha sarva bhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim stanam prapsasi shashvatam. O Sayana Bharat, he's descendant of Bharat. O Sayana Bharata, surrender unto him, that Ishvara, me, utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. Purport. A living entity should therefore surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart, and that will relieve him from all kinds of miseries of this material existence. By such surrender, not only will one be released from all miseries in this life, but at the end he will reach the Supreme God. The transcendental world is described in the Vedic literature, Rig Veda 122.20, as Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. Since all of creation is the kingdom of God, everything material is actually spiritual. But Paramam Padam specifically refers to the eternal abode, which is called the spiritual sky, or Vaikuntha. In the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, as I just quoted, Sarvasya Chaham Hridisannivishta. The Lord is seated in everyone's heart. So this recommendation that one should surrender unto the Supersoul sitting within means that one should surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Krishna has already been accepted by Arjuna as the Supreme. The Lord, was accepted in the 10th chapter as Param Brahma Param Dhamma. Arjuna has accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the supreme abode of all living entities, not only because of his personal experience, Arjuna's personal experience, but also because of the evidence of great authorities like Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa. So that's mentioned in the verses subsequent to this essential verse here, Padam Brahma Padam Dhamma. So, but just let's think about that a minute. Arjuna, there's those four essential verses, 10, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and Arjuna's response to that. 10, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then Arjuna responds, as Krishna describes here. What does Krishna say there? These are verses we should definitely learn. 10, 8, let's see, I've got a big, okay. I've got the picture section, okay. Alrighty. Yeah, page 429. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So you can see how important that is. The Bhagavatam also has four essential verses. Ahameva sameva agre nanyan yatsarasat param. Where Krishna is speaking to Brahma, and he says, before all of this existed, all of this manifested universes and all this stuff, I existed. Now that means I must be God. If before any manifestation of the world, what exists? The Supreme Lord exists, with, of course, the Supreme World and everything. But he's speaking about this essential idea of who's created it all. What is the cause of all causes? What is that first verse of the 5th chapter of the Brahma Samhita? We only have the 5th chapter, so you heard this before. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. The cause of all causes. Sarva Karana Karanam means the cause of all causes. When you think about it, everything we see is the result of a string of causes. Like, like this tree. All right, it starts with the seed. But then you have the water and all these different things that are going on, the sunlight, so that cause that makes the manifestation of the tree. And the tree itself is the cause of some seeds or some fruits or like that. So, but where did it all start? How did it all, it started with Krishna. He is uncaused. Nothing caused him. He has no beginning, you see. So, that's this. And then after he goes on with that, 8, 9 is, well, what we have to do to understand him. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So now Krishna's response. He's saying those who believe, text 8, that Krishna is the source of everything, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then they try to serve him and think of him and like that. And what's Krishna's response to that? To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, as in the previous verse, I give the understanding. He's in the super soul, right? I give the understanding by which they can come to me. And then, this 11th verse, this word, Tesham eva anukampartam. Now, anukampa means compassion, right? To show special mercy, anukampa. Very, very interesting verse. Because what is kampa? Kampa is one of the ecstatic symptoms, right? Trembling, right? We sing every morning. What is it? Mahaprabhu Kirtanan Nritya Gitas. Mahaprabhu Kirtanan Nritya Gita. What is it? Yeah. And then how is he reacting? And then kampa is in there. He's trembling in ecstasy. Kampa. So this is anukampa. Anukampa means trembling in sympathy to someone other. So Krishna, anukampa means that he's so tuned into us, being in our heart and everything, that he knows just how we're feeling. So he's the original source of all compassion, and this is expression of that. Tesham evanukampartam, for the sake of showing special mercy to my devotees here, I, Agyana Jamtamaha, this is the translation here. I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So it's all, why does Krishna speak this Bhagavad Gita? He comes down here. He doesn't have to. He's in the Goloka, but he's still enjoying, even when he's expanded down here, he's still in Goloka. But he makes a special effort to appear on this planet and so many others in order to impart this knowledge, to try to save some of his beloved children who are life after life suffering in illusion, and trying and identifying with the particular body they're in. So that's an incredible expression of compassion, anukampa. And here's he's describing how within, he's already said that he gives us the intelligence by which he can come to him, and out of compassion for them, to show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So these verses, these are very important verses. And then Arjun's response, which we're reading about in today's selection of verses. He declares Krishna, I understand. Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavatram, Padamam Bhavan. You are the Supreme Brahman, you're the Supreme Pure. So he's saying, okay, I believe you, Krishna. And he's saying, this is, and then he says, and not only, I know you're saying this, but it's also supported by Asita, Devala, Narada Muni, or the Vyasadeva. So in other words, we should follow Arjuna and have our faith fortified by what Krishna is saying, and the fact it's backed up by all of these great souls, beginning with Srila Prabhupada. It says, okay, let's see, I have my doubts, but wait a minute. Look on that altar when the curtain opens. There's Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaurkishore Das Babaji, and there's, Jagannatha. All these great souls, realized souls, who, are we saying I got a better idea than Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and Prabhupada? We just heard about Bhaktisiddhanta. He was from childhood. Whatever he heard or read, he remembered. Incredible intelligence. And he understood this, and he believed it, and he taught it, and he lived it. So who am I to doubt it? You see? And these great souls who take that knowledge and risk their lives to give it to us because they see us as God brother, God sister. They see that we're, that this is what Krishna wants, and so that all of that should nourish our faith, so that we also undergo with the necessary purification to experience all these things, and really go back home, back to Godhead. All right, now I lost my place. What verse was I on? 1864. We did 62. No, 63. Yes. All right, 63. Let's read 63. Iti te jnanamakyatam guyat guyataram maya vimishaita dasheshena yatejasi tatakuru. Okay. Thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. So this is more confidential than other knowledge, but now the next verse is going to start the most confidential, ultimately confidential. The Lord has already explained to Arjuna the knowledge of Brahmabhuta. Brahmabhuta Prasanatma, that was text 54, I think. One who is in the Brahmabhuta condition is joyful, Prasanatma. He never laments, nor does he desire anything, Shokshtina Kanchati. That is due to confidential knowledge. Also, Krishna also discloses knowledge of the Super Soul. This is also Brahman knowledge of Brahman, but it is superior. Here, the words Yatejasi Tatakuru, as you like you may act, indicate that God does not interfere with the little independence of the living entity. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has explained in all respects how one can elevate his living condition. The best advice imparted to Arjuna is to surrender unto the Super Soul seated within his heart. By right discrimination, one should agree to act according to the order of the Super Soul. That will help one become situated constantly in Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of human life. Arjuna is being directly ordered by the Personality of Godhead to fight. Surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in the best interest of the living entities. It is not for the interest of the Supreme. Before surrendering, one is free to deliberate on this subject as far as the intelligence goes. That is the best way to accept the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such instruction comes also through the spiritual master, the bona fide representative of Krishna. So, Guyat Guyatadam, and then finally, text before, now I'm going to speak to you, Guyatamam. So you have Guyataram, that is more confidential. You have Guya, which is confidential. Guyataram, more confidential. Now Guyatamam is most confidential, and that's what we're going to hear about. I don't know, I think what we'll do, we'll read 64, which we'll set up tomorrow, where we can do 65 and 66, which is the essence of the whole book, into. And I put it into a little poem. If you can't memorize the Sanskrit, you memorize the English. And you still have it in verse form. All right, 64. Sarva guyatamam bhuya Shinu paramam vachaha Ishtosi me dudamiti Tato vakshami te hitam. Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Purport. The Lord has given Arjuna knowledge that is confidential, knowledge of Brahman, and still more confidential, knowledge of the Super Soul within everyone's heart. And now he is giving the most confidential part of knowledge, just surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the end of the 9th chapter, he has said, Manmanaha, just always think of me. The same instruction is repeated here to stress the essence of the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. This essence is not understood by a common man, but by one who is actually very dear to Krishna, a pure devotee of Krishna. This is the most important instruction in all Vedic literature. Just let's think about that for a minute. All Vedic literature, all the Upanishads, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, right? It all boils down to this next verse, which we won't read tonight, but we will tomorrow. The most important instruction of Veda literature, what Krishna is saying in this connection is the most essential part of knowledge, and it should be carried out not only by Arjuna, but by all living entities. So, I think before I read that, we'll read the 2 tomorrow, and you know, it'll be a very nice. We're almost through with this chapter and almost through with the book, but it should be given proper respect. So that leaves a little more time for poems. Huh? Shloka Loka. Yeah, if you just come into this class, that's where you're going, you know. Shloka Loka. Okay. So we'll start with one of my all-time favorites. You heard this one probably 50 times before. Very easy to learn, the Sanskrit. Madodam madodam babadatsya vibho madodam madodam badanam madodam. Madogan nimnadu smitame tadaho madodam 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 madodam. Krishna Karnamrita. Of sweet things, no. Let's see. Sweet, sweet is my dear Lord's form. Sweet is still his face, so fair. But his honey-scented, gentle smile is sweet beyond compare. Okay. So now, how about the prayer of Queen Kunti, my favorite. Yeah, this is one of the first ones I ever did. Actually, the Madhuram Madhuram, I think, is the first poem I ever wrote, that one. And this is like the second or third. So this is a prayer. Anyone can chant this prayer. You can go before Girid Hari, and after this prayer. Tvaime hyananne vishaya mati marupate sakrit. Ratamun mahataradha gange baugamudanvati. O Madhu's Lord, so he was the Lord of the Madhu dynasty, Yadu dynasty, the same thing. O Madhu's Lord, or I should say Madhava. O Madhava, please ever fill my mind with thoughts of thee, not any other kind. As Ganges torrent flows into the sea, let all my love flow constantly to thee. Perfect prayer. So there it is, that you have that one. And then, let's see. Okay, this is a nice one. Probably the analogy of the sincere devotee to the Chataka bird. The Chataka, as the verse goes, Vidachita mahidandam dina bando dayangba gatadihana babata kachat anyamamasti nipatuta shatakoti nirmalang bang davangbas tadabakit bayodak stuyate chatakena. So the Chataka bird. The Chataka subsists on rain it catches in midair. And so it's always praying to the cloud to send its fare. Yet though the cloud may send a thunderbolt instead of rain, that bird continues praying fervently despite the pain. Just like the Chataka, I fix my mind upon one goal, and that is you, O Lord, most kind to every fallen soul. So whether it is punishment you send, or mercy sweet, I'll always pray to you for service to your lotus feet. Now this is a very important principle here. Because there's a verse, I think Brahma chants this verse, the 14th chapter, 10th canto. Tate nukampam susamikshamano bunjana evatnukatam vipakam hiddenvak vapurbe vedadan namaste jivete yo mukti bade sadaya bhak. Now, Bhadrinarayan Swami liked this verse and the purport. Because what this verse says, it says, Tate unukampam susamikshamano bunjana evatnukatam vipakam. So, in the course of our lives, things may happen to us, even as devotees, which are painful or difficult to undergo. So how do we take those things? We may be, if we're complete neophytes, we'll say, "What is this? I've been chanting this in my rounds for for so many years or so many months. I go to the temple every Sunday, and I do this. I offer my food. I'm a vegetarian, and yet this happens to me. I come down with this disease, or I get fired from my job, or whatever, someone stole my car. There's all kinds of things happen in the material world, right? Why is that? Is there a God or not? So no, but that's not what this verse says. No, whatever happens, good or bad in your life, first, things that are difficult, one should be thankful to the Lord. Number one, it could have been much worse, but Krishna is minimizing it. And two, it's all due to something I've done in my previous life. But Krishna is minimizing it, because it can always be worse. He's minimizing it because he's so kind to me. So in this way, you keep your positive attitude toward Krishna, you see. And of course, when good things happen, you think, oh, Krishna is so kind. He's given me more facility to serve him. Now I won the lottery or something. Well, you don't do that if you're a devotee. But the point is, I'll use that facility I have now, and my health that has been given back to me to serve Krishna better. So in this way, good or bad, you see that Krishna is blessing you. And in fact, the most mature devotees are thankful for the negative things that happen, because they're a chance to show your sincerity and to work through them. And I think Bhajan Maharaj, because we all, who've been around the last few years, I don't know how many years he had this diabetes, but it was obviously an austerity just to, walk and do the things in Krishna consciousness. Yet he persevered and, kept doing his service. Hare Krishna. Welcome. Hare Krishna. Hey, you can sit on that seat at the end there. We're almost through. We'll be darshan in a few minutes. So that's what the essence here is that whatever happens, this is a difficulty for Arjuna. This is that he's going to show his devotion to Krishna, even though it's so painful for him to kill or be involved in the killing of his beloved guru and grandfather figure, that he'll see, well, this is, Krishna's testing me, but I'll do it because I love Krishna so much. And it's ultimately for their benefit also. No one's going to die. They'll all be promoted. And Bhishma Dev, he's on the battlefield. He has his blessing from his father that he wouldn't be killed unless he wouldn't die unless he needed to. So he said a bed of arrows. That means he shot through with arrows. Not just a bed of arrows, but he shot through with arrows. But he's lying there, and Krishna comes to see him, And what does he say? He's looking up at Krishna with all those arrows in it. Tribhabalakamanam tamalavanam rabakataghodavaramvadang dadhani vapadalakakalabatananam jam vijayasake ratarastume. Wonderful. This is one of his prayers in the 9th chapter, 1st canto, right after Kunti's prayers, the 8th chapter. So he's lying there, Tribhabalakamanam tamalavanam. I didn't put in a poem yet. Here's my Lord, he's the most beautiful in all the 3 worlds. Tribhabalakamanam tamalavanam, he has the complexion of a tamal tree, dark, Rabikataghoda, he's wearing these garments that are shining just like the sun. Rabikataghoda varambadang dadani. Vapa his beautiful lotus face is encircled by these beautiful locks of curling blackish hair. He's meditating on Krishna's form, standing right there. And then Tamalavanam Rabikataghoda varambandani vapadalakakalavatana vijayasake ratarastame. He is the victor of the friend of the victor, of Arjuna. Let my love and attraction be drawn to him without being diverted to anyone else. So he's personifying that. And now we better adjourn because we're going to be over time. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. So thank you for coming for that. We're going to have darshan now, a nice kirtan, so welcome. And then some prasadam, actually.